Hello, hello, hello. So, hello, everyone. So, you have just joined. That's my thing telling me that it's time for us to have our show. You have just joined the Business Plugs Mixer. My name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the Business Plug. And so, today, while I'm turning off my alarm, I am also want to invite you to go ahead and share this on your pages, share it on your Facebook page, share it on your LinkedIn page. Go ahead and invite your military friends and family in. This is a special, I'm excited because this is a special session. And I want to make sure that all your military friends and family join us so they can learn something from this situation, from today's show. Today I have two guests, and so I'm going to have them to introduce themselves because I don't want to botch it up, you all. So let me first, Karen, if you'll tell a little bit about you while I try to share and make sure that your audience can know that you're online.
Well, first of all, yesterday was my husband's 50th anniversary of serving the Army. There are
Oh,
not too many people who can make that kind of a claim, 50 years being serving the Army. So we're very proud of him. We had a very nice celebration yesterday.
that's
He
wonderful.
was in active forces for 24 years, and then now he's been a contractor for 26, working for a company I don't know if he wants me to name, so I won't.
That's fine.
Oh, he said it's okay, General Dynamics.
Yeah, we must make
So,
sure to prove.
yeah, he usually says leave it out of there. Okay, so we are in South Korea. We've been here since 2013. We were in the center of the major outbreak for South Korea. There were 10,000 people in our city that had the COVID-19.
Mm,
Um, but being in the military, we were kept very safe because protecting our forces so that they're ready, especially given North Korea is our neighbor, is extremely important to the military. So I would say in these days, being in the military is a very good thing because you're much more protected than the normal civilian population.
mm,
And we need all the people that we can possibly get because the forces have been very weak after the general economy has been so good.
mm.
So the military usually is the opposite reflection of what's going on in the civilian population. When there's lots of jobs, we have to look really hard to find our guys. So I anticipate that changing and more people wanting to get into the military.
Mm.
Regardless of that, everybody has a point at which they need to muster out or leave the military for one reason or another. So it's still important. What we're presenting today is still important to look forward because there will come a time at which you will be exiting the military. So over the years, from Vietnam until now, it's always been a different kind of picture.
Mm.
So you need to be aware of what services are being provided, where you're going, um, all those kinds of aspects, which I'm sure Jolene has a special program for transitioning the military, which I'm really have not heard anything from her. So I'm looking forward to her very much. And she is my global director in a business that we're in together. So out of the whole world, she's one of three people. Well, she works with her husband as a very great partner in helping people be able to develop another line of income, which is very important when you're exiting the military. You got to look at,
Absolutely.
okay, I've done this. That was my income. Where am I going next? So
That's
with
great.
that, it's my pleasure to introduce to you JDoc.
Well, thank you, Karen, and thank your husband very much for his years of service. And Linda, thank you for hosting this fantastic call. Well, as both of you know, the military is only about 2% of the entire U.S. population that serve or have served. And my husband and I have a very special place in our hearts for those individuals because these are individuals who have decided that putting their well-being in the backseat to serve the entire nation is more important. And they do that for various reasons. And regardless of how they end up serving, we can never say thank you enough. My husband and I did not serve. My brother is a Marine. But again, it's being able to help people who were willing to help themselves by putting service first that draws us to this particular group of people. So thank you so much for allowing me to be here today to address and thank everyone for doing their service. It's funny that you mentioned COVID-19. You know, Ryan and I, we've been entrepreneurs for 20 years. 13 and a half of those we've worked from home. And over those 20 years, 18 of them, we were homeschooling our children. So we were working at home, living at home, and homeschooling at home. So when COVID came out, it's like, stay at home. We're like, we already do that. So the biggest disruption for us was not being able to go to the gym every day. And that really has been the bane of our existence every single day. Our entire family gets up at 5, we go to the gym, we work out. And now, thank God, within the last 2 weeks, we've been able to go to the gym. Now they don't open until 6, so that's still a little bit of an irritation, but whatever, I can live with that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my son served Navy, and I have a godson who was also Navy. But who doesn't have a military family? Like you, I have friends that have served in all the branches. I'm sure we all have, because they are a special kind of people. And so that's why I am so ecstatic about bringing today's show, is because I understand from my friends how difficult it can be transitioning from military life to civilian life. Like, it's two different worlds. I've had one of my friends tell me, he's like, Linda, the first time I went and was employed in civilian life, and they had a departmental meeting and people were just talking and throwing paper and doing it. He said, I about lost it. He said, my anxieties kicked in. I was like, yeah, we're like that out here. It's like a zoo out here. There's no order. There's no order at all. But it was just understanding how to move from a very disciplined, very intentional lifestyle to now it's like Freebird, right? Everybody's doing everything. So just understanding what that is. And so that's why I'm glad about this. So tell us about your program. Like, how did you get to this venture? How did this become the thing? And then what is the thing? Let's ask those.
So Ryan and I, we've always, like I said, we've always been entrepreneurs. And in our 21 years of being self-employed, we've never had a single transaction that did not come from a personal referral, recommendation, or connection. And we've done that on purpose. We believe that people are always paramount. And by plugging into networking events, we were introduced to this gentleman by the name of Luis Rivera. He is a retired Army colonel, 40 years in, actually became a colonel at the age of 40, or he was 20 years in, at any rate. We met him by accident, but now he's one of our very, very best friends. And he's connected us with an organization that is led up by Chase Banks and the Schultz Foundation. And their entire mission is to help soldiers transition out from the military life into civilian life, and to understand what awaits them and how to properly go about positioning their lives so that they don't just continue to be like a ping pong or a pinball in a pinball machine where it's like, okay, I'm going to go over here and go over there. Like you mentioned, they went straight from 99% of the time, they went straight from their parents' house in high school, where their parents tell them what to do every single day, straight into the military, where their commanding officers tell them what to do every single day. And there's no freedom to say, nope, I don't want to participate in that program. And it's so funny because I sit down and I talk to these guys. I'm like, okay, here's what it's going to look like when you go out into the real world. Your head is going to pop off and you're going to lose your mind, because the military has done you a huge service in the respect that You have learned to respect other people. You have learned to work with people who you normally would never work with in life. In civilian life, if I don't like the person that I'm working with, I throw a temper tantrum, I quit my job, and I go work somewhere else. In the military, you can't do that.
Exactly.
Like, you're stationed where you're stationed, and you better figure it out.
Figure it out. Exactly.
You know, in the military, you're given extremely little resources to accomplish major missions. And the only thing is the mission, not your emotional state of the day. And when you go into the civilian life, you're going to be working with people who say, you know what? I have this hangnail. And this hangnail, oh my gosh, I just can't. Right?
And that's pretty much how it is. I'm telling you, it's like, it's a privilege because I showed up. And in military life, it's like, you don't get the option to show up. You show up because you show up. Yeah.
That's exactly
the mission,
right.
the mission.
Absolutely. Mission focus. Absolutely. I love it. I
So,
love it.
When we go in and we talk to these folks, we let them know, look, okay, don't forget, these are the assets that you have learned that are intangible, that they're your normal. So your normal of discipline, of being honorable, of showing up, of having great work ethic, that's your normal. That's the world that you have lived in. And that is no longer the world that you were going to be living in.
Yeah.
So we help them to start thinking differently. We get their creative juices going, and we start asking them very hard questions like, what do you want out of life? Not what am I ordered to do? It's what do you want? So when you're asked, if you could design your life, what would it look like? Because you get to choose where you work. And when you go into interviews, don't go in with the mindset of you are being interviewed. Go into the mindset of you're looking for a partnership in a relationship for a job. And then you got to ask yourself, am I even equipped to be an employee? I've been an employee. I've been a great employee. I've been in the military. But do I want to stay an employee?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and if you need to have a day job to cover the bills because you have a family, because most people in the military or who are leaving the military, they have a family.
Yeah.
They started having families young. And so to have that, you may need to have a day job. Well, the best place to start is start networking, start meeting people. Go to meetup.com. No, it's not a dating site, okay?
It's not a dating site.
It's a professional networking site, and you can find groups that you want to be connected to, and you can start meeting people who have the same interests, who have the same desires, who can maybe be a connection for you. Start looking at people as a Lego of how can I serve you? And I know that you'll do the same for me. Yeah. Because when you go through life with having the idea of what can I do for you, then that's how the universe works.
Right.
You reap what you sow.
Right.
And start asking people, okay, well, what do you do? Because I kind of like the life that you seem to have, right? So for Ryan and I, we tell him, look, do you want to travel? If the answer is no, then don't go interview at a job that's going to require you to travel a lot, like an outside salesperson. Okay. Right. Yeah. Do you want to have a high income? Do you want to have freedom? And these are the things that nobody has ever asked them before.
And that's frustration because they feel like they're trying to find their niche in the world, right? They're trying to find the perfect place where they go and they're hired and they live happily ever after. But Karen, over where you are in South Korea, what's that like? What's that like in trying to find, like adapting to where you are, especially in a foreign country, but adapting to where you are and being able to do your military life?
Well, there's basically all your services that you need are on base. So my husband, who doesn't like Korean food, etc., we have a very narrow, especially in this time, a very narrow channel that we travel between. We live, so they call on the economy. We don't live on base. So we go from our apartment to the car to base, and there's, the PX has got all the supplies you need, grocery stores there, restaurants are there, gas station, mechanics. I mean, it's like living in a small town within the country that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge really is more to get out of that, make acquaintances with people who are in what we call the economy in the country that you're living in, and go find out what that's like so that you experience that. Now, we've done a lot of travel. We've been here since 2013. We've taken trips to every country around us except for the Philippines and Guam, and that's on my list to get done before we leave here. But we have been everywhere around here, around the Indian Ocean. We've been down to Australia and New Zealand, but we still haven't seen much of Korea. So that's my goal now, is to focus on our country. So it's not so much a matter of how do I adjust, because you're not really thrown into that country. You have your own little city within the country. So the challenge is to get out and learn the country that you're in. And it's a great adventure. It's a great adventure. Sure. Being in the military is great. And it definitely gives you, as Jolene was saying, a number of good skills, a positive attitude, and all of those are foundations for actually running your own business. And military people have been found to be very good at doing that, because they have a lot of the work ethic and understanding of how to get a project done.
Yeah.
Or it was get the mission done. Now it's get your project done.
Yeah.
So they know how to go after things. So and by setting your own business, you can then carry forth the ethos that you have developed as a military person. You don't have to deal with paper throwing in the boardroom.
I know, right? And I'm like, what kind of meeting was that? That sounded like a zoo.
Well, and I want to add to that. It's interesting because it's very difficult. One of our closest friends and now business partners, like I said, he's the colonel, retired colonel. He knew that he loved to teach and train people. So he went out and he got a job at a wonderful firm. And that's what they do for a living. They teach, coach, and train top executives on how to be better at their job, right?
Oh, so great.
He stepped into a position that was very unique and delivered his skill set. But the challenge for him was the idea that now I have to go out and generate sales. I've got to go out and generate connections. I've got to go out, to do my job. Whereas in the military, it's given to you, you get paid, and you do the task. So the hardest transition that we have seen for most folks military is the idea that they have to be creative, and also adopting the mindset that $100,000 a year income is not a lot. When I say that to a room full of military personnel, they're like, what? I would go for a $100,000 a year income, right?
That's $1 million. Yeah, that's exactly.
And I'm just like, no, $100,000 a year income isn't going to cut it. You need to ask yourself where you want to live. In certain areas, it's going to cut it, but you have to ask yourself, do you just want to get by, or do you want to have a life where you can take your family on vacation 1 or 2 times a year? Do you want to have a life where if you need an all-terrain vehicle, it's not going to be a big deal. You just go get it. Do you want to have a life where if you need to have the tires replaced on your car, you don't have to put it on a credit card and pay it off? By the time you need the next set, you got to put it on the credit cards again, right? Yeah. This mindset of growing the idea of $100,000 a year income is squat. So let's start having the real conversation of, if the skill set that you have learned isn't going to allow you to have the life that you want, being able to pay cash at Christmas and not charge it, then we have to start looking at alternatives. What we're going to do is we're going to look at, what did the military skill set teach you? Do you have to work? Does your spouse have to work? If that's the case, do you want one of them to stay home? How much is that going to cost? So in this program, we go through all of these components, and then we say to them, you know what? In today's households, most people have 2 streams of income. The husband works and the wife works. And if for whatever reason, one of them loses their job, they're screwed. It's no longer a luxury in today's society. In the United States, this may be different in other nations. I don't live there, but from what I understand, it's pretty common. You need to have a 3rd stream of income.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to get all preachy, but the reality is the Bible says to have 7 streams of income, better to have 8. And they should all be different. Because if something happens to your husband's job and your wife has a job, but oh wait, you're building this side business from home, like my husband and I have been for these last 13 years, which has afforded us a 7-figure lifestyle working from home, right? Then if something happens to your husband's job, oh, it don't matter, because I've got a 3rd stream of income coming in. I've got my wife's income and I've got my 3rd stream, my business income.
Exactly.
And it's very different being able to step into a system that's a lot like McDonald's, because going from the military and then deciding to be self-employed, you have no place, you have no idea where to even start. You're like, I know I want to work for myself, but I don't know what that means, right?
Yeah.
So it's much better to step into a system that is a virtual franchise. We've had virtual franchises for the last 13 years. We do everything from our cell phones. We make 7 figures going wherever we want. We have geographic freedom, financial freedom, and time freedom. We've never missed a single activity that our children has done. And it didn't even bother us that the sport that our daughters chose to be in cost us $250,000 for them to be in that sport. Right?
That's wonderful.
And
That's
not
wonderful.
because it's not because we're great. It's not because we're special. It's because in 2008, when we faced a financial catastrophe like the one we're having right now, our traditional business died. We went without income for 2 years. 2 years. And it wasn't until we were forced to look at the virtual franchise that we realized it was a superior way of making money. Because I can have multiple virtual franchises and be anywhere in the world that I want, and the money keeps coming in.
And that is the ideal situation, in that, like right now, like you said, the only thing you missed was your gym, because a lot of business owners, even those not in the military, let's talk about that too. Even those who are not in the military, but if you're used to a brick and mortar, like COVID has taught us that you must be agile. You must be flexible. You must be able to think outside of the box, even for your brick and mortar. Because here and now, everybody's online. Everybody is online. I am teaching elders and people who are seniors how to get online on Zoom. Like, I'm teaching them literally how to make Zoom calls. And so think about that as an entrepreneur, as a person coming out of the military who does have a skill set that is marketable, but how can you transfer that into an online course or something you can do online and still gain revenue? Because $100,000 is, for some people, that would be a great a great income. But when you're used to living different than the average person, that is not going to sustain that lifestyle. And that's what you have to think about. How much money does it take to continue the lifestyle that you have become comfortable with?
Well, and you have to ask yourself, so if something comes up, and like for us, we had no idea that our daughters were going to love gymnastics and stay in gymnastics, right? We had no idea, it started off because it was the one thing they could do at 18 months old. That wasn't something I could do at home. Right? They couldn't start dancing till they were 3. They couldn't do karate until they were 4. We already did art and music at home, so it was the only thing that they could do. And it ended up becoming our lifestyle for 15 and a half years. And we had no idea when that started that it was going to require travel. We didn't have any idea that what is the equivalent to what most people think is a bathing suit was going to cost me, $600 for them to wear it 12 times, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
So you have
Yeah.
no idea what your life really is going to look like, because you always want to be able to say yes to your children's passions. At least that should be our goal, not to spoil them,
Yeah.
but to support their passion so they're able to find out who they are. And if you haven't
Yeah.
had children yet, then why should you tell yourself no to pursuing your passions? What if you wanted to become a master potter? What if you wanted to, take up horseback riding? A horse ain't cheap. I used to own 3 of them, I can tell you, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing, is looking at where you are, and understanding what it takes for you to live the life that's in your head. Because a lot of times we have dreams and aspirations of wanting to live a certain lifestyle, but don't know where to start, don't have the revenue if we knew where to start, don't know people that are already there. Because I always teach that you have to be around people who are where you want to go in order to learn how they got there. That's how you learn the lesson. And so understanding what that looks like, it can be very frustrating on a daily level, living a life that's unaligned with what you truly want to do, being whoever you're not intended to be. And so if we all have purpose. I do believe life has rhythms. I do believe that life has patterns. And I do believe all of us have a package to bring to the world. And in our gifts is where we meet other people. This morning I was quoted in the New York Post, and people from everywhere can relate to the motherless child, the story that I have. But it's in our stubbornness where we relate. And if I don't know, Jolene, that you have this company that you guys are building that can help me as a military person move from frustration to having a clear plan, that a clear workable plan, that I'm living in frustration. They call it, in marketing, they call it the hell. I'm living in the hell every day. I'm frustrated every day, and I'm wondering why it's not working out. So yeah, so
Well,
that's good.
that's what I love about what we do. That's actually how I met Karen and how I met you. It's through networking. And, Karen was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, but you were looking to increase your retirement funds and be in a system that the program itself, the software, we use an artificial intelligence software in the foreign exchange space. So we get to learn a skill set. You get free mentoring, and you get to earn income in every time zone on the planet. And, by teaming up with Karen, you're going to be able to learn this skill set, to have the support. And my job and role in the company that we are with, we are a global company. We're in 90 countries. We can do business anywhere that people can get internet service. And we're going to teach you how to make money by compounding your own money. Through a use of a software. And Karen loves that because she can team up with all of the people that she's met all throughout all of her years in the military and really help them understand finances for once. Somebody's actually going to teach financial instruction and intelligence, and put you in a vehicle that's going to catapult you and multiply it. And so Karen and I get to work very, very closely. And the mentoring is free. So if anybody wants to get any information on Forex, call Karen, because she is masterful at it, and we're all connected. So we help each other thrive.
That's a wonderful thing. I love that. I love the community of it, because that's what you need too. You also need a community so you don't go it alone. I have so many business owners who think because they work for John Blow, they're able to replicate that system by themselves, but they only know the part of John Blow's business that they worked in. I've had 6-figure CEOs, CFOs to come out of corporate America and want to open their own business, and they're very aware of what it's like to have staff under them, but they don't know what the other people do. And so that's, the CPA, the attorney, the HR rep, there's so many facets. And when you're doing entrepreneurship, you're wearing all those hats.
Right.
And so if you could very well get in some Department of Labor trouble, some big trouble, if you didn't hire right, or you didn't fire right, or you're not treating your employees equally, or all those other things that go with entrepreneurship that people think, oh, I did it for John Blow's company, so yeah, I can run a business. I'm smart enough to do that. And so yeah, that's good stuff. And so Karen, talk about how they can meet you. Like, how can they become to ask you questions, and I'll make sure that I add that information in this post for you all to follow. But Karen, tell us how they can contact you. What's the best way?
I'll give you my phone number. I have an American phone. It works on Wi-Fi. My American phone, my Korean phone, so whichever. I'm also on Skype. I also have an email, so lots of ways to get a hold of me.
Okay.
So do you want me to say it, or do you want me just to? Okay. So my American phone is 603-380-5859.
Okay.
My email is the number 4X, the letter U, 4 more. And like Jolene said, that's more of everything. More money, more freedom, more fun, more whatever.
That's fun. That's a funny
at gmail.com. And
okay.
my Skype is my name, KarenHorn, 1947. So now you know my birth date. I'm an old one.
Hey, you're fine. Let me just tell you, you're a blessed one. You were a blessed one. So yeah,
still above the ground and kicking. It's a good day.
Exactly. So I hope that people will go ahead and share this on your pages. If you haven't, we're broadcasting both on LinkedIn and on Facebook Live. So if you're on Facebook, then please share that on your page. If you're on LinkedIn, then please share this on that page. These are easy steps, like step 1, contact Karen. These are easy steps.
Also, I'm teaching my grandson who's in New Hampshire, who's 18. So don't let age be too much of a barrier.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 18 and I'm teaching him this life skill. So send him all over.
Somebody who knows. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in this realm, when you are wanting to transfer out of a military lifestyle, or even in a corporate lifestyle, right? If you want to transfer, you want to transition to entrepreneurship, and you're wanting to understand what that looks like on a global scale. Like if you're into AI, that attracts you, and you feel like, oh yeah, I could get in that space and I could really, really learn how to capitalize on my skill sets, then contacting Karen, right? Go ahead and reach out to her, and then having that conversation just to see where you are and how she can get you to where you want to be. And so my name is Linda Murray Bullard. You ladies hold on after we're finished, but I am going to go ahead and close us out. And so tell both of you, I'll give you a few minutes to tell the people who are watching a last parting remark. So go ahead and tell them what you would like them to leave with, Karen.
Well, first of all, thank you for watching. Thank you for having us here, Linda. You're awesome. If you want to connect with Linda to promote what you're doing, that's also another venue for you. But this is a life skill for everybody. It's like, what do? I put my money in stocks, watch them crash. But we've been able to generate a steady increase in our funds. And like I said, you don't have to be in business already or looking at that. My 18-year-old grandson is learning this. It is a life skill everybody should know.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. And Jolene, is there something else that you would like for my audience to know?
I just want to thank both of you ladies for taking your time this afternoon to pour into people around the world. You know, it takes a very special person to have a servant's heart like that. I always enjoy connecting with people who understand that relationships are always paramount, and having those and utilizing those and nurturing those is is very important. So bravo to both of you. And if you're watching this and you are not generating income from every time zone on the planet, then connect with Karen. It's a low barrier of entry and minimal time required. So get started. It's worth it.
Absolutely.
One more
absolutely.
thing. If you work with
Yes.
me, you get to work with Jolene also. So you get both of us.
Hey, 2 for 1. That's wonderful. That's a wonderful plus. Yeah, that's a wonderful plus. So my name is Linda Murray Bullard. They call me the business plug, and I've just plugged you into how you could create that second stream of income, contacting Karen and working with Jolene. You guys have a great rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you next week at 7 o'clock. You all have a great night. Goodbye.
Bye.